Well, good morning to all of our consultant friends and welcome to Ali Group University Live. I'm Rob Guile, Vice President of Consultant Services, and this is actually the 5th of 10 education sessions that we're hosting this spring. Today, we're in Vernon Hills, Illinois, home of Scotsman Ice. We'll continue to travel around the country visiting Ali Group facilities, and we hope you'll be able to join us for the last 5 sessions throughout the month of June. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. We're very excited to host this program here today, and we thank you for joining us. At this time, what I'd like to do is introduce the Vice President of Marketing and Product Development for Scotsman, Jeff Beale. Jeff?
Thanks, Rob. Appreciate it. Well, welcome, everyone. We're going to have a real good time here talking about a lot of the new things that Scotsman has brought to the market over the past year or so. It's obviously been a challenging past 12 months or so, but we're really proud of the fact that we've been able to bring over 70 different SKUs to the market over the past few months. And this includes brand new products as well as updates to existing products. And we've really addressed a lot of different segments of the market, anywhere from food service to office spaces, healthcare. So we've really done, I think, a very good job at looking at a lot of different applications and applying a lot of our new technologies to these different applications. So one of the things that we always try to do is implement technology that adds value to the customer. So whether it's lower maintenance costs, better sanitation, better reliability, more energy efficient units, we always have to keep those things in mind whenever we're developing our products. So hopefully, as we go through this, you'll see how we're implementing technology and lowering that total ownership cost for our customers. So I'm joined here with Vince Totalo. He's our regional sales manager. He's going to help me kind of go through a lot of our different products. One of the things that you'll see is all of our products here are made in our Fairfax, South Carolina facility. It's an award-winning facility, kind of in the middle of nowhere.
Absolutely. It's to give you a perspective where it is, it's halfway between Columbia, South Carolina and Savannah, Georgia.
Yeah. But ISO certified, all the products, again, based here in the US, something we're very proud of and something unique to our industry. You know, a lot of companies move their production offshore, and we really think that it's a value to have manufacturing here in the US. You know, we get better quality, better reliability, and again, it's something that we're going to continue with as we go forward with new products.
And it should mean a lot to you and to your customers.
Yeah. And we also encourage to reach out to your local Scotsman rep to do a plant visit. It's something that we do often because, again, it's an award-winning facility. It's best in class, and it's something we're very proud of. So with that, I think we're going to take a look at our first product line, and this is our HID ice and water dispenser. We've seen tremendous popularity with this line of equipment. Originally, it was a healthcare piece of equipment. So when you think of HID, healthcare ice dispenser. However, we've seen, especially over the past 12 months, it's really changed into a hospitality ice and water dispenser. So if you think of applications, office buildings, factory floors, nursing homes, and what really sets this apart is the touch-free technology. So you can see you're able to dispense ice and water without having to touch any levers. So that from a sanitation standpoint, that's really resonated with a lot of customers, especially recently. And you can see you can fill a number of different containers. So whether it's a water bottle, a pitcher, and there's no need to touch the machine, which is critical. Ice bags. So you think about athletic facilities where they have to pack ice bags for icing injuries. So the touch-free design, obviously key for a sanitation point of view.
Sure.
Also from a green perspective, You
Right.
can eliminate
You
your
eliminate a lot of
disposable
bottles, a lot of empty plastic bottles, as we all know, are filling up landfills all over the country. And, you know, to your point, it's very green, and you can design in and you can get LEED credits towards.
Yeah, exactly. Also qualifies under Consortium of Energy Efficiency Tier 2. So a number of utility companies offer rebates for that distinction, anywhere from $25 to $100, depending on the model. So our model platform, the model here is an HID 312. So as we discussed before, H could be healthcare, could be hospitality, depending on the application, I for ice, and D for dispenser. So, and then we have a 312, 3 meaning approximately 300 pounds of ice per day, and the 12 is 12 pounds of storage. And we should go a little into the production values. So when I say 300 pounds of production, that's going to depend on what your air temperature is, as well as your incoming water temperature.
Right. And that's 300 pounds, optimum conditions in a 24-hour period of time.
Correct. So that's over 24 hours per day. And what you're going to see is when we rate it at 70-degree air and 50-degree water, that's going to be a different value than when we rate it at 90-degree air and 70-degree water. So obviously, the warmer the ambient air and the warmer the incoming water, the less ice you're going to produce. So it's very important to understand that distinction when you're looking at the production values and looking at competitive equipment as well. So what we have here is the HID 312. We go up to an HID 525. So again, if we think about that easy nomenclature that we always try to use, HID, ice and water dispenser, the 5 for 500 pounds of production per day, and 25 pounds of storage. And we also have a HID 540, which holds 40 pounds.
Why is there such small storage? Why is it only 25-pound storage?
Well, from a footprint standpoint, obviously we want to get it into a small footprint. And also with the 500 pounds of production, it's able to refill itself very quickly.
Consistently makes ice.
Yeah. So the nice thing about these units, they're continuously making ice. And we'll see the distinction between a continuous ice maker and some of our cube machines that make ice in batches. So we have a very nice complete lineup, different sizes, different capacities. One thing that we did offer recently is an option for push button. So we do have a push button option for specific segments. And what we've seen over the past 12 months or so is that there are facilities such as assisted living, nursing homes. People are not as comfortable using those infrared dispensers or sensors. So people still like to push a button, push the ice, push that water button to get their ice and water. So we went ahead and we do have an offering that includes the push button. So it's designated in our model numbers, HID 312, a B for button. Now you could also retrofit this onto units that are already in the field. So if you have an infrared machine and the people in that environment, let's say it's assisted living, they're having issues, they don't understand how to use it, we can retrofit that unit into a push button unit. They do have antimicrobial compounds in the buttons, so they are a sanitary button. And again, we're starting to see this more in certain specific public-facing areas. So some of the other real nice things from a sanitation standpoint, we've got the removable chutes. So we can see we can take those chutes right off and clean them. Now, why is that important? Well, health inspectors really like to look at these chutes, see if there's any growth or any kind of buildup on those chutes. And so by having those removable, so you can wash them, wipe them off, and then put them right back in, that's a huge value to the customer. So then they got peace of mind that those things can easily get cleaned. You'll also see that gray plastic, what that signifies is that it has Aegon antimicrobial actually embedded in to that plastic. Aegon is an antimicrobial that helps prevent microorganisms from growing. Still want to clean those chutes, but it really helps preventing some of that slime and nasty stuff from growing. So we also have, besides the removable chutes, we also have a removable grill. So this grill can be removed, again, can be easily cleaned. And even the sink where the grill sits, we can actually remove this as well. Now we do have it where you would have to take this front cover off, and we did that purposefully because we just don't want anybody to be able to take off a sink and try to clean it and then perhaps put it back the wrong way, and then you could have a leak. But you can see, and we see this typically again in healthcare facilities where people dump coffee grounds, soups, all kinds of nasty things down that sink. And sometimes that needs to be taken out, cleaned, and put back in. But the fact that it's removable really makes it easier, because on some other machines, you'd have to kind of take a coat hanger basically and try to, get all that nasty stuff down the drain. So you can see we have a very open design. All the drains feed into a common connection. The top panel also shows have everything pretty much up front. We have the storage bin up front, the control panel up front as well. One of the optional things that actually it's a standard feature now, is the smooth stream. So we put a little device here, it's basically an aerator. And what that does is makes a much smoother stream of water. And so what we were seeing is there'd be a lot of splash. And so now what we can do is it's basically just a little aerator. And that aerator allows the stream to come out very smooth, there's not very much splash. And that's standard on all of our units. You can see it here on the water connection. And that again was something that feedback that we received from the field, was that these dispensers, they could get dirty, there could be splash that would go outside of the sink area, that could get on the floor, and now there's a slippage hazard. So that's something that we've addressed with the water dispensing area. Also from a cleaning aspect, you can see that we have an external filter. That external filter very easily removed.
Slides out, it's reusable. Wash it in a wash sink with mild soap and water, air dry it, and then you just slide it back in.
So now why is that important? Well, it's really important because if that filter gets clogged up with lint and dirt and grease, the machine's not going to perform as well. You're going to lose production, you're going to lose energy efficiency, and ultimately you could end up with service issues as well.
Right.
So by having it on the outside there, people can see it, people can access it, because we know if it's not easily accessible, it's probably not going to get done. So if it's on the top, or if it's on the back, or if you have to get a bunch of tools to access it, we know that filter is really not going to get clean. So this is very easy to do.
And at the same time, you probably notice that there's an indentation on either side. And that's there intentionally with actually you in mind, because of the fact that space is always a big requirement, right? You want to make sure you minimize the amount of space that you use. So we put indentations on either side. So in case somebody puts it up against the wall or puts a box in its place, the unit itself could still breathe.
So you still have airflow that's able to get in there. Obviously, we always like to get at least 6 inches of airflow around the machine, but we know the reality is things get pushed up against it, equipment, boxes, cups, you name it.
Right.
And so what this allows for is that the machine is not going to get completely choked off from air and have serious service issues. You might have a little bit less production, a little bit less energy efficiency, but at least you'll be able to make ice.
That's correct. And at the same time, if you look at the unit, it can all be about 85% of all the components can be accessed from the front for doing servicing should you need to. And even it makes it very convenient once it's installed in place to be able to do the cleaning and the servicing right here at the unit without having to take it to a separate location to do that.
Yeah. So you see, we've implemented a lot as far as cleanability, serviceability. One of the big things that we implemented with this unit is the maintenance-free bearing. So the way these machines work is there's an auger that basically spins and extrudes ice out the top. And so this bearing used to be, you'd have to grease it at least every 6 months. And in a lot of areas, that just wasn't getting done and service issues would arise. So by making it maintenance-free, where you don't have to grease it, that's a huge win from a reliability perspective. So this is in all of our HID models, and we've also rolled it into some of our modular models now as well. So obviously, we've really focused on sanitation with the infrared sensors, you know, the antimicrobial, the ability to remove a lot of the components, but you still need to make sure that that machine's reliable.
Right.
A clean machine that doesn't work isn't really going to help anybody out.
And if the technology changes, you know, we have a way to upgrade the technology in the machine.
Yeah, exactly, Vince. So we're always kind of looking at what the market demands, again, whether it's smooth stream or push button. So we always are seeing and getting good feedback on our units. And so we're able to update our controller so that, you know, if we want to implement a new feature, we can actually update our firmware with a USB drive here. So instead of having to get a brand new unit or, you know, a new control board, we're able to update that just using a USB. And you can see on this controller, you know, there's some kind of smart, intuitive features here. You know, we're letting the service tech know exactly what's going on with the machine. Makes it easy to diagnose, lets you know what mode it's in. And again, we're really just trying to make that experience of addressing any issues very easy. So kind of in summary, we put a lot of technology into the machine. We're seeing a lot of different applications beyond the original healthcare applications, whether it's offices, factory floors,
Call centers,
schools, call centers. I mean, it's just a really nice, small footprint, do it all, dispense ice, make ice, dispense water. It's kind of a nice all-in-one package.
environmentally friendly.
And environmentally friendly at that.
That's right.
So with that, we'll move over to the Undercounter series. And again, kind of in line with this whole addressing a large number of applications with a full suite of products here. So we've done a lot of work over the past year on our Undercounter lineup. So we've got now a full offering in a number of different footprints, a number of different ice forms. So now we go all the way down to our 15-inch wide footprint up to our 24-inch wide footprint. And we've got flake ice, nugget ice, small cube,
medium cube.
medium cube, in all these different sizes.
Scotsman has the largest breadth of line covering of all undercounters.
Yeah, exactly. So the nice thing with these smaller units, this unit over here, we see that it's actually on the ground. And what that does, it actually gets the gets the height under 32 inches. And now why is that important? Well, we see a lot of ADA applications. And in order to get into those, under those ADA countertops, we need to mount it to the floor. And we do that in order to meet health code so that no creepy crawly critters are crawling under the ice maker there, and so you can seal it. So you can see there, this unit is actually mounted on on a floor mount kit.
Right.
Vince has that kit right there.
Here's the actual floor mount kit. You would remove the existing legs on the unit, then attach the floor mount rails to the bottom of the unit itself, and then screw in these leg stamps to help you adjust based on the floor. And then it also comes with a tube of silicone so that you could seal it to the floor if your jurisdiction requires it.
Yep, exactly. So we're seeing a lot more interest in this type of application. Again, these things are going into government-funded buildings where ADA is a requirement. So we could see the door, very easy to roll up and access the ice. We've made the front panel a hard plastic, and we did that purposely because in a lot of the applications where we see these units, they're getting banged into with carts, mops,
Right.
people kicking them.
That material is very resilient. So especially in the kitchen environment, it gets abused pretty badly. So, it is extremely resilient. So it's going to keep a nice appearance.
Yeah. So with all the different types of ice, we range from on the smallest side on the nugget ice, we have a UN 0815. So again, following that intuitive nomenclature, U for Undercounter, N for nugget, 08 for approximately 80 pounds of ice per 24 hours. And then the 15 is 15 inches in width. So again, we're seeing everything from churches to little school laboratories. So it's a nice little unit that can go into a number of different areas.
Absolutely.
It's front breathing, so air it comes in the front and is exhausted out the front. So now we don't have to worry about side clearance. So again, these things can get into very, very tight spaces. On the flake and nugget line, they're energy efficient as well. Flake and nugget ice are inherently more energy efficient than cube ice. We kind of referred to it before where it's continuously making ice. And by continuously making ice, there's some inherent energy efficiencies and
less water
efficiency.
waste.
Yep, exactly. So with that being said, we've got Energy Star certification on the 15-inch and 20-inch nugget and flake units. So not only are you saving money on your energy and water bills, but you're going to be eligible for those utility rebates as well.
And these are a nice way to either use for your ice production or a nice way to augment maybe as a satellite facility.
Yeah, exactly.
And we right over here, actually, if you looked at our cubers, this is what, Jeff had indicated that when we were talking about the HID and some of the nugget and flake machines, those are continuous ice. This is a evaporator plate. And this is a grid basically on how the ice is made when you're making in the cuber. So the ice would, make the medium form in this particular case, or the small cube, and it would just, this actually is mounted inside a device here. So this is what you would find in a cuber. So this is what we're talking about between different, this is batched ice, and this is the cube it comes with.
Yeah, and the batch ice, typically it takes, anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes for that batch of ice to drop into the bin. Which leads nicely into our newest Undercounter cube line. So we've come out with a 24-inch wide Undercounter lineup that makes 200 pounds or 270 pounds per 24-hour period. And this is a big improvement over our previous line, which was 26 inches wide and actually made less ice. So now with our smaller cabinet, higher ice production, we have best in class performance. So our UC 2724 Undercounter Cuber 27 designates that it makes about 270 pounds per day, and then 24, meaning it's 24 inches wide. No one else in the segment can make as much ice. And same thing with the UC 2024, which makes about 200 pounds of ice, best in class performance. And we're able to get it in that smaller 24-inch cabinet. So with the Cuber, we do also have an external air filter. So we talked about how important that air filter is to get to. So we can easily slide that out, rinse it, put it back in. Again, lending itself to better production, better energy efficiencies. The UC 2024 actually just received Energy Star designation. So again, along the same theme of we're not only trying to address serviceability and footprint, we also are still addressing energy efficiency as well. So we're always kind of doing that balancing act of trying to implement serviceability, reliability, ease of cleaning and service, and still trying to get all that into an energy efficient design. But I think we've done a pretty good job so far.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So as Vince noted, most diverse Undercounter lineup. And
And just to point out, as Jeff mentioned on the HID, we use the maintenance rebearing assembly. All the nugget and flake machines here also use that very same design.
Yeah.
To give that additional robustness. And that's a lot of robustness considering we're looking at a lower end type product.
Yeah. And we also offer the 3-year parts and labor warranty on these units as well. And that's not something that's necessarily typical in this category.
Best in class.
Best in class, absolutely. So we're going to move over to the modular cubers now. And again, the same theme that we've been talking about. We've had our modular cube series out for several years, and we've made improvements upon it. And over the past year, obviously, we received feedback. And one of the things that we did is we implemented a optional sanitation accessory. So the Scotsman X-Safe device. Basically, this sanitation device, it has a UV bulb on the inside, and what's going to happen is that the air is brought in to this device, and that UV light basically zaps that air and creates these charged particles, photoplasma. And now those particles will then neutralize viruses, bacterias, all these other pathogens that can get into the ice machine.
Yeah, imagine it like an invisible fog that comes through and it sanitizes the machine.
Yeah. Exactly. So with this technology, you're really addressing a number of different concerns that operators had: safety of the ice, quality of the ice, sanitation of the actual machine. If these machines don't get cleaned, all kinds of things can grow on the inside.
Right, especially depending on where your application is, right? If you think about a lot of the applications where you're designing jobs, if anybody's doing any baking or a sandwich shop or a brewery, there's going to be a lot of yeast in the air, and yeast mixed with ice machines typically are not a very good combination.
No.
But a device like this will make your life and your customer's life a lot easier. In addition, because the way that we have this encapsulated, there's no exposed bulb, right? There's a lot of products out in the marketplace that they'd hang a bulb inside a bin, and that's great until somebody smashes it, right? And then, of course, you have got a number of hazards that we all have to deal with. So with this type of device, you don't have to worry about it. In addition, it's really easy to retrofit an existing unit. Really, all it is it's 2 knockout holes on the top that you could do with a Greenlee punch. And then after you mount the unit, then you plug the power pack into 120 volts and you're ready to go.
Yep, exactly. And again, very easy to use. It's going to constantly create this cloud of particles, and it's going to be not only in the food zone, but it will also be in the bin as well. So it protects the ice that's already been made. Very simple operation. There'll be a blue light that lets you know that everything's operating normally. There'll be a red light that'll let you know that it's time to replace the lamp. Typically about a year is the lifetime that you'll get that replacement reminder. And then if there's any kind of a service issue, it will blink that red light at you. So, but typically it's really just maintaining that bulb. Very easy. It just plugs into a standard 120 volt outlet, and it's accessible from the outside of the unit. So, and this is an optional accessory that we've come out with over the past few months. And obviously in today's environment, a lot of interest with this. So a number of other things that we've looked at from a cleaning aspect to make it easy. Everything just from having a reminder light on our external controls here, lets you know when it's time to clean the machine.
Yeah.
That's obviously becoming more and more important.
And we keep it really simple, right? And the colors that you'll see is red, yellow, and green, just like we see every day in traffic lights. So red means bad or stop or problem, yellow means caution, and green means great or good.
Yeah. So as much as we talk about technology, at the end of the day, we have to make it intuitive and easy to use, right? Or else the customer's not going to see the value because it's too complicated.
That and being realistic, right? A lot of people working in some of the environments, maybe English isn't their primary language. So at least this is something that's universal that can communicate to everyone.
Yeah. And along with that theme of being simple, in order to clean the machine, we have a one-touch cleaning program. It's basically touch that yellow clean button. It'll put the machine into a clean cycle. It'll prompt you to add your ice machine cleaner, which you put right in the reservoir here, and it will recycle that ice machine cleaner, rinse it out, purge it, and then you'll be back to, you'll be ready to make ice again. So that takes about 30, 35 minutes or so. And again, it doesn't require a lot of hands-on operation. So you can kind of, once you add your ice machine cleaner, you can walk away. Besides putting the ice machine cleaner in it, there's a number of other things, that are easy to do. This water distributor slides right out. And this is kind of where the water flows through onto the evaporator where the ice is made. So it's important to keep those holes nice and clear.
That's right. Just imagine it's sort of like your shower head, right? You get buildup, and you want to make sure that these are easy to clean. And with that cleaner and easy way to remove this makes it very simplistic.
Yeah. So trying to make it easy, again, keep the machine clean. Another unique technology that we've implemented is our water sense technology. So this little water sensor that sits here, again, I could just squeeze it out with my hand. And that actually measures the water quality coming into the ice machine. And, why do we care about that? Well, water quality can vary throughout the nation, city to city, street to street.
That's right.
And with those different water qualities, that can really affect the performance of the ice machine. So if you get a lot of scale buildup, that's going to affect your production. It's going to affect your efficiencies, and it could lead to service issues down the road.
That's correct.
So by constantly measuring that water quality, the machine is able to automatically adjust how much water it's going to purge. So we always recommend that an ice machine is hooked up to a 0.5 micron filter at a minimum. We know that there's a lot of other water treatment solutions out there. So whatever water treatment solution you have, that's great. That device is going to measure that water quality, and it's going to adjust accordingly. So if you have clean water, it's going to minimize the amount of water that it's going to have to use, and then you're going to have better energy efficiency and better water efficiency. So,
and more consistent ice.
And more consistent ice, exactly. So it's going to actually change after every cycle, depending on what that machine sees as far as water quality goes. And standard on all machines, and it's good also from a standpoint where if someone doesn't filter their water and you're in a bad water condition, it'll sense that,
right? And
it's going to flush a lot of water in order to keep itself clean, right?
And then one advantage too is it takes all that water that we flushed and allow you to take that pre-chilled water and starts on the next batch of ice.
Yeah, so you can see we've implemented a lot of different technologies in order to keep the machine as clean as possible. One optional feature that we have is our KVS, so our ultrasonic bin level control.
And what this is it's basically sonar, and it can mount into any existing or even older Prodigy machine. And what it does is it actually sends a signal down into the bin, and we can adjust that signal by turning the dial in here And what it does is adjust the volume in the bin. And why would we want to do that? Well, as we know that we always want to have fresh ice. And if you think about it, a lot of ice is going to pick up the flavors and the smells in the environment that it's in, right? So if you've got a lot of cooking going on or whatever, you might end up with ice that you don't want those flavors in, of course. So, and especially if you're using ice at certain times, you're not using ice and the bin's full. The problem is the bottom starts to freeze and it becomes a block. So by able to use a device like the KVS in a place like, say, a church as an example, right? You don't need ice on Monday and Tuesday, so you could turn the dial down. So it's going to make ice, but it's going to think that the level is full here. If then when Tuesday afternoon comes around, you could turn the volume up, and now it's going to make ice up to here because it's now needs to be satisfied again, and then you can go back and turn it down. Another option is attached with the KVS. You can also go with a remote control board that can actually be programmed with a third-party program system that you can actually now schedule ice productivity. So for instance, if it's going into an arena, or so we have a hockey game on Wednesday and a concert on Saturday, you can adjust the schedules. In addition, you could even adjust it depending on what level you're going to have an event on. So it's a nice way to do that. Probably pretty important now that we're getting back to live events again.
Absolutely. And all retrofittable to existing machines. So you can see that it just kind of snaps in to the back of the control board and just hooked up with a cable. You have an Ethernet connection here as well, so you can do that remote monitoring, remote operation of the unit as well. So some other things that we've implemented on the unit. So this has been a really successful thing, is by implementing the QR code. So we put a QR code on all of our machines, and this one here, you can see it's accessible from the outside. So we kind of flip that little door open, and once you scan it, it'll give you all your product information. So your model number, serial number, it gives you the parts list, user manuals for this specific unit. So that's a huge win from not only an operator standpoint, but also from a service standpoint as well.
Right.
The first thing someone's going to ask if there's any kind of service call is, what's the model number, what's the serial number?
And a lot of times, a lot of devices look the same, right, from the outside. You really don't know the nuance behind what's behind the stainless steel exterior. So by knowing exactly what's in that machine and what generations in that machine is going to make all the difference in the world. Sort of think of it like your Chevy pickup truck, right? You have a 2010 Chevy pickup truck and a 2020 pickup truck. They're both the same model, but they're different years, different generations. So their owner's manuals are going to be different. Their service manuals are going to be different. And by scanning the QR code, it's going to allow you to get links to the parts that are exactly for that particular device. So you don't have to worry about trying to diagnose something to a model or that you don't have, or revision or generation you don't have.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we're always being sent photographs of, hey, I need to replace this unit, and you just don't know what that unit is.
That's right.
So, and you don't want to have to crawl, to the back of the machine and use your flashlight and your mirror in order to get that model number.
That's
so
right.
This is a really useful piece right here.
And, by chance, if somebody gets aggressive with that and breaks it off and it disappears, don't worry. You remove the front panel. We have QR codes in about 6 different places, just in case.
Exactly. So last thing that we'll talk about here with the Modular Cubers is on top of or underneath this modular unit, we have our hotel dispenser. And again, in that category, there's been a lot of interest in sanitation. So before, we used to have to push the chute. So you'd have to actually touch it in order to actuate ice dispensing. Now with this little lever device, you can actually actuate it with the container. So no need to touch it anymore. So obviously in the hospitality industry, that was a major concern. We also see these a lot now in factory floors and other places where they've got
Distribution centers, but like, Amazon and distribution centers like that, trucking facilities, Amtrak train facilities, they're all using that
utility
type of product.
companies, cable companies where they're rolling trucks and people are wanting to put a cooler under there and bring it with them. So again, we're seeing a lot of new applications for this, and obviously sanitation is still top of mind there as well.
Because let's be realistic, for years, everybody was just going up to the bin, right? And scooping ice in and hoping that something was clean. But, we've evolved, right?
Yes,
and we
have.
have to be smarter to not only protect ourselves, but to protect everybody else at the same time.
Yep. So again, we're constantly evolving, constantly adding new features to address the needs of the customer. So speaking of that, we can move on to our modular flake and nugget units. And here as well, we've added some new features and added some new solutions for our customers. So on the modular line, we now have 3 different ice forms that we can offer. So we offer a flake ice, our original chewable ice, as well as a harder H2 nugget ice.
Right.
And we're able to accomplish that through a number of different what we call breaker heads. So basically this ice is extruded through these little slots, and that can affect the shape and the hardness of the ice. So Vince right there has a flake ice head, and then you can kind of compare that to a soft nugget ice. So really by changing those different geometries, you can get the different ice forms. So then the question is, well, why do I need all these different ice forms? So for flake ice, we see this a lot now in grocery stores where fish or meat or produce is put on the flake ice in order to present it better, provide a little bit of moisture as well. But you don't want to bruise that fish either, which can happen with the sharp edges of a cube form.
That's right. Nobody wants to buy it. It damages the merchandise, right? So presentation is everything.
Exactly. So now with H2 nugget, which is made with this breaker here, like I said, it's a harder ice. It's still among the softest ice forms in the industry, but it's a little bit harder, which makes it a little bit easier to dispense. And this is the type of ice that's being dispensed out of our HID ice and water dispenser. So now we have it available on the modular unit. So again, when we think about dispensing applications, it melts a little bit slower than the soft ice as well. So there are some people who absolutely positively have to have the soft chewable ice.
That's right.
But there's some that they don't necessarily notice the difference.
Yeah. The true sonic connoisseur can pick it out, but most folks can't tell unless you look at them side by side.
Correct.
But both ices still have that same property, very chewable, and at the same time it also absorbs the flavor of the beverage, and that's the huge advantage to that ice. And that category is growing and growing every day. Absolutely,
definitely our fastest growing category as far as ice forms go. And based on that popularity, that kind of prompted this latest edition. This is our 2,000 pound per day nugget unit. And this will be launching very shortly. And the great thing about this unit, you make literally a ton of ice in a 30-inch footprint. So with a 30-inch footprint, you could actually put 2 of these side by side on a 60-inch bin. So you get 2 tons of ice.
That's right.
And 1 ton, what does that translate to as far as big gulps, Vince?
That's 1,032-ounce big gulps.
That's a lot of big gulps.
That's a lot of big gulps.
And when we thought about it, we're like, well, who is needing that much ice? But you talk to some operators in the South, Arizona, Texas, where it's hot and humid. They need that much ice for their operation.
Well, you're 100% right, Jeff, because people really want the nugget ice because they like it. Wait, we talked about the properties they like. It absorbs the flavor of the beverage. It's chewable, but also they use a lot more of it, right? And so when you're using a lot more of it, you're going to need higher capacity. And people, like we all know that people drive for 50, 60 miles to a Sonic restaurant just to buy a bag of ice.
Yes.
So, you got all this extra ice. So but people want to have that capacity when their customers come.
Yeah. So we're really excited about this because we think there's some great opportunities, not only in food service, but grocery store, convenience stores,
Sure.
Conference centers, stadiums.
Right. Absolutely. And in addition to that, when we talk, just take a little step backwards, when we talk about dispensing, we always want to try to use the H2 nugget or the NH series. And that'll allow it to work with any major brand of dispenser in the marketplace, the Lancers, the Every Brand, such like that. In addition, it'll also work with the Coke Freestyles of the world and the Pepsi's Fire. So, for that particular market segment also.
Yeah. Yeah, and we've been using the softer ice. Obviously, there's a little bit more setup and more kits and all that stuff. So this kind of just makes it an easier application.
A little bit more foolproof.
Exactly. Good point. So with that kind of goes through the Scotsman lineup. I did want to just briefly note that you might have heard that the Ollie Group did acquire the Cold Draft company recently, and Cold Draft has been around since the 1920s, and their real claim to fame is the 1.25" square cube. And this has been really popular in the bars and nightclubs and with the mixologists of the world. And so we're really happy to have them in the family, and you're going to see a lot more coming from them shortly. But obviously, as things are opening up everywhere, and people are looking to get out and have a drink, we're going to be seeing a lot more from Cold Draft. So last thing, we've presented a lot of information here. We have a great resource with our website. A lot of this information you can find on our website. Probably the most important thing is our resource center. And on the resource center, you get a lot of marketing information, so kind of your standard marketing information, sales tools. This is where I think we get a lot of, we have a lot of advantages. Under technical, you have all your CAD and Revit design files, and this is all publicly available. So whether it's Revit or CAD, your spec sheets are there as well. So very easy to access those things. But what I think is really neat is like the ice machine sizing and selector tool. So, one of the biggest questions we're always asked is, what the heck ice machine do I need? And a lot of times customers don't exactly know. And so it's our job to help facilitate that selection process. So you can see we're kind of going through and entering in some data, and we're filtering down the available models. So this is just helping you get into the right ballpark as far as what's the appropriate model. So again, we just can select some different things, and then at the end, you get a nice little summary. You can select your bin as well. And it's just a guideline. It's just based on the inputs that you enter into it. But it's a nice tool to access when there's just not a lot of information available from the customer. So we encourage you to take a look at that. And lastly, the comparison tool. This is a unique thing that Scotsman has done. We basically have put all of the competitive information up on our website. And this is just publicly available information, whether it's through their websites or through AHRI databases. We can actually run comparisons of our equipment versus all the other ice machine manufacturers out there. So you just get a very unbiased look at ice production, energy efficiency, operating costs. You can change, based on what your electricity cost is or what your water cost is. So it's a nice little tool so you can compare Scotsman versus other machines in that category. We obviously we're pretty confident in our performance, and that's kind of why we're willing to put that out there. So again, we hope you find use in that. And yeah, the sales app is kind of the summary where it has all those things in a one-stop shop. So whether it's Ice 101, where you can get the basics of ice, how ice is made, all the different applications, and kind of goes through all those features and benefits that Vince and I have been talking about. So that's kind of a nice concise area to go to for all the Scotsman materials. So with that, I'm not sure if there's any questions out there that need to be answered, but we'd be more than willing to do that at this time. But otherwise, I really appreciate everyone taking the time to attend Ollie U. And with that, I will throw it back to Rob.
Vince, Jeff, thank you so much. I think that this was a really comprehensive and pretty detailed outline of everything Scotsman does. And I think what you also should have learned is that they do a lot more than simply make ice machines here. So just the comparison tools and everything else, we're really serious about the ice machine business, and we're willing to help. You know, on behalf of Ollie Group and especially the Scotsman team here, thank you. There was a ton of questions that came up throughout. And Brandon, thanks for addressing most of those, if not all of them, as they came up as well. We're really happy that you joined us today, and we thank you so much.